Caffeine consumption was not about having energy. I mean, sure, partially. It turned out my relationship with caffeine was about more than just the consumption of caffeine. So what I want to discuss in this video are what my relationship with caffeine was like, how I came to the realization that it was time for me to stop drinking caffeine for a while, what the experience of quitting caffeine was like, and what it's like on the other side. So let's begin. I have never really been a really big coffee drinker for the majority of my adult life. There was a lot of coffee in my household growing up. And so, I would have coffee on occasion, but I never really needed coffee. Around 2 years ago, I began working at a very rigorous charter school, and my hours changed. I had to wake up at around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would work until 5 p.m. So I had really long days. And this year particularly, I felt a lot of pressure to perform. I teach 5 classes per day. So I have to be on in front of a bunch of teenagers for, 10 hours. And so that's where I started to drink a lot of caffeine. I was having a normal amount of caffeine every day, and by that I would be say like one cup of coffee at least, and then it began to increase, and I was having 2, and then recently over the last 6 months or so I began to indulge in energy drinks regularly. A lot of energy drinks now will have vitamins and L-theanine in them, so I really appreciated the combination of not just energy but focus and calm that the particular formulas were giving me. So I was drinking them constantly. I would never exceed the recommended quantity of caffeine of 400 milligrams per day, but I would get close. I was averaging around between 300 and 400 milligrams per day, maybe about 320 milligrams of caffeine per day. So it's a lot of caffeine. A few weeks ago, it's been about 20 days off of caffeine. Something like that. It was a Saturday morning, and I was tired, and I knew that I had some things on my to-do list that day, and I had a little conversation in my head, and I can't really tell you how this happened or why it was different this day, because it's the same dialogue that I have in my head every day, but there was another voice in there on this morning, and the conversation went like this: I'm tired. I have to do such and such and such. I should make a cup of coffee. And then this other voice stepped in, and it said, no, you shouldn't. You should take a nap. I never heard from this person, this voice before. And this seems so silly, but I promise you, it was profound. It was a profound experience for me. It was like, wow, I should take a nap. I had not been considering that rest was an option. I was over-consuming caffeine daily to perform at a level that I did not think that I was capable of performing without it. I also thought that it was necessary to perform at the level that I was performing. I didn't think that if I performed at some other level without it, that would be enough. And when I dug deeper, I realized that caffeine consumption was not about having energy. I mean, sure, partially, but it wasn't entirely about energy. In addition to being a boost or a ritual, it was also about feeling like not being enough. I felt like without it, Lizette, was insufficient. Then I had to start thinking about, well, if my relationship with caffeine has to do with performance, then what other areas of life am I performing in? And that's when I realized that caffeine was just one area where I was being inauthentic. I'm not saying that everyone who drinks coffee is a phony, but maybe some of us out there are like me. So I'm just telling you my experiences. Once I realized that I was over-consuming caffeine in service of performance, I started to ask myself, where are other performances taking place? Where am I performing socially? It was in the same week that I was quitting caffeine that I also decided to not, because I had no energy. So I didn't use any of the little bit of energy that I had to make someone feel better in an uncomfortable situation, or laughed at a joke that I didn't think was funny, because that was also part of the detoxification process. And then I had to think about my lifestyle, and what is it about my lifestyle that makes me feel like I need to be a certain way, and why am I feeling like I can't just be myself in these contexts? Are these contexts right for me? I came to an understanding that authenticity is multifaceted. It lives in everything from the way that you present yourself, to the way that you speak, to what you choose to participate in, where you choose to go, where you choose to live. Each and every decision is an opportunity to be authentic, to be true to yourself. And it was fun. I mean, okay, so now let's talk about what the actual quitting caffeine experience was like. Reflecting back on it now, it wasn't excruciating. It was, what's the word? How would I describe it? Uncomfortable. I'll say that. It was uncomfortable. What really got me through it was painkillers at first, but also listening to the stories of other people who have quit caffeine, because among some of the symptoms that we all know of, including headaches and fatigue, one that I really wasn't expecting that really lingered for a while, that was the hardest one for me, was low mood. Quitting caffeine, especially if you were drinking a lot of it like me, and I was drinking energy drinks and coffee in a day, could really impact your dopamine. I'm not like a neuroscientist or anything, but I did look into it when I was in the process of quitting to try and understand what was going on with me. And I learned that your body really has to sort of recalibrate all of its chemicals because you've been synthetically sort of poisoning it the whole time, or, pushing it further than it naturally wants to go. So I had low mood for a while, but let me start from the beginning. So headaches. The first couple of days, especially the first day, the headaches were pretty bad, and I took Tylenol. And those lingered for most of the week. They definitely dissipated a good deal later in the week, but I did notice some throbbing after exertion. So if I went upstairs, once I got to the top of the stairs, I would have like a little pounding on this side of my head or something. And so, it was sort of intermittent little things like that I was noticing occasionally. Obviously, I was really tired and low energy for a few days, and then it started to pick up midweek, but I would notice that I would have a boost of energy in the morning, and it would last me through some of the afternoon, and then right after, 2 p.m., I would just crash and feel like I had to go to bed early. And it was really frustrating to feel like I didn't have the energy to do all of the things that I wanted to do. Not only did I not have the energy to do the things that I wanted to do, but I also didn't feel the motivation to do anything. I was kind of sad, and that was the worst part for me. I didn't know what I should be doing at any given point once I was done with my job or whatever, and I didn't feel like doing any of those tasks, but at least it was constructive or structured so that I had activities that, a list of things. But once I finished it, I was like flat, totally flat. And normally when I'm done with work, I look forward to things. I'm like, I'm going to make a great meal, or I'm going to go visit this thing, or I'm just going to read, or whatever. I'll make a video. I'll alter a piece of clothing. I didn't want to do anything. And that took a little while to go away. I think that resolved maybe after about a little over a week, maybe about 8 days. And then I started to notice I was feeling a lot better. There are 5 things that I've noticed that have changed a lot since I quit caffeine. Number 1, I'm no longer performing. It turns out that Lizette, at her best, has a lot of energy, can still say the right things, has the ability to focus. I can do all of the things that I was doing before, even better and for longer, and with sustained energy. I don't have anxiety anymore. There was a low-grade anxiety and an irritability that I just wasn't associating with caffeine. Well, maybe a little bit, but I didn't realize how much of it was in the background. I just thought I was busy. A lot of the internal chatter died down. I still have internal chatter, but I feel like I'm less in a rush. And so I've been able to be more present in conversations with people. And since I'm not performing, I'm also more honest, not only in what I'm saying, but like how I express myself. I don't feel the need to be this like big, clowny, hilarious character. And that's been really peaceful. I have a sensitive gut, and coffee contains a lot of mold. So I was bloated constantly. I mean, I've always had a lot of bloating, or that's something that I've dealt with a lot over time, but much of that bloating subsided significantly once I quit caffeine. Finally, I have great energy and I feel optimistic. I don't have a slump in the afternoon. There are other things that impact my energy, like what I eat, particularly eating late or eating sugars. Sugar has a really huge impact on my energy, and we could talk about that in another video. But, that being another variable, when I'm not consuming sugar, I have so much energy throughout the day, and I don't need caffeine. The other day, I think I went to bed at midnight. I don't know. I woke up an hour before my alarm and needed a workout. I wasn't just like, I should work out, but I felt in my body that I was ready to exercise. Amazing. When I was drinking caffeine, I never woke up ready to exercise. That concludes this discussion on caffeine. It was a spiritual experience, and I can tell you that it feels really good on the other side. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Do subscribe. I want to see you again in the next video. Bye. Excuse me. I'm inviting you here into my bedroom today. No, that sounds weird.